Alright guys, it's T-Man and I'm back again with a new video. I'm going to do a reaction video to Wolf Coaching, yes. And let's see what Wolf Coaching has to say. I don't know what to call this guy. He's like, I don't know, he's a doctor or something. I don't even know who he is or what he is. I've seen some videos on him a couple of times. I just think he's just another, how should I put it, a gym slave, another lifting slave, but I don't know. He's going to make up a bunch of stuff, but whatever. Let's just review this video. So Wolf Coaching here says, is Sean Nalewanyj, whatever, giving bad advice? Exercise scientist reacts. Oh, he's an exercise. Ooh, he's an exercise scientist. There's my reaction. Ooh. All right, so let's see what this fitness, yeah, that's it. This fitness slave has to say. All right.
Today, I'm reacting to Sean Nalewanyj's takes on lifting from an exercise scientist perspective.
Oh. I'm going to give my own spin on that science, dude. Yeah.
Welcome back, DrMiloWolf here. Still.
Is that who you are? DrMiloWolf. Hey, he's Milo from Croton. He must have been walking with that bull. That's why he's so massive. I didn't know that a human being can literally walk around with a 3-ton bull on his back. I don't know any human being that could do it. Maybe only Milo can.
A non-functional sign, but we'll get it fixed soon. Today we're reacting to Sean Nalewanyj. I think that's how you pronounce it.
He's reacting to him, and I'm reacting to Milo Wolf. Yes, all right.
I'm doing my best. Apologies if I butchered your name. But I've seen some of his stuff floating around. I know he's a true fitness OG. I remember seeing him at the same time as I was following Mike Chan. You hear me? So he's been around for a while.
Mike Chan? Who are these people, these new people? I have no idea. I'm from Generation Xer. Okay.
But I never actually interacted with his content very much. And so today I want to blind react to some of his shorts. Let's get into it.
Blind react, okay. I never trusted Nalewanyj. I never trusted him. I just don't trust him, but okay. I could say this though, he's a true lifting slave for sure. Gym lifting slave, yes.
Alright, that was short one on the Smith machine for hypertrophy. My honest reaction is...
Smith machine for hypertrophy? I don't know any weights that hypertrophy muscles. They do cause an inflammatory response, which causes the cell to swell temporarily. Is that what you're talking about? Hypertrophy? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's cell swelling. It causes you swelling to the cell because there's some inflammation because you've been moving weights up and down. You've caused an irritation to the muscle cells. You've irritated them by lifting these weights, yes. So they hypertrophied. But guess what? When you don't lift, that inflammatory response and that inflammation in the cells, they go away. So you have to keep lifting to keep them there.
Pretty good, honestly. Like, the Smith machine is a good tool for hypertrophy. Okay. And the two most recent meta-analyses we have comparing free weight movements, what most people think is king for muscle building, and machine-based movements finding...
Whoa. Did he just say king for muscle building? A machine builds muscles? Never heard that before. Me personally, food builds muscles, but I don't know what he's talking about. Okay, he wants to convince you that a machine is going to build a muscle. Wow, this guy's a genius. The only thing that I know that machines could do, if you're unadapted and you're getting an adaptation, they can cause micro injuries to a muscle fiber. Does that sound like growth? Does a micro injury injuring muscle fibers, does that sound like muscles are growing? No. Let's see. Eating, well, maybe he's talking about sarcoplasmic, eating an artificial diet, carbohydrate, and then pumping the muscle. So for every gram of glycogen, 3 grams of water being drawn skin of the muscle into the muscle. Or maybe he's talking about, I don't know, lactic acid buildup, maybe blood flow restriction. That's also hypertrophy. Those are fake though, like the other one I just mentioned, sarcoplasmic. I don't know really. I don't really understand this dude, okay? Like me, if you're asking me, I'm a pro at bodybuilding. But this guy, I don't know anything that he's talking about. I don't do any of these things to get where I want to go in bodybuilding.
they're both equally effective for muscle building. And so whether you use
How are they equally benefit for muscle building? What kind of muscles do they build? Mr. DrMiloWolf, could you please elaborate what kind of muscles do they build, these machines? What kind?
machines, including the Smith machine,
And how do they build the muscle? How do they build them? How do they build them? Out of like air? Like what? Breatharian? Like what? How do they build them exactly? What do they do? Magically?
or more free weights, all else being equal, it's not going to make or break your results. And the Smith machine can be cool for certain things, right? Like if you want to do lengthen partials on the bench, or lengthen partials on the squat, and you want to be able to safely fail without a spotter.
See, my father was an intelligent guy. He was an American, and he told me, watch out for fakers of sophistication. All I have to do is watch this guy open his mouth, and right away it rings a bell. Faker of sophistication. I just love these people. They think they know something. They don't know anything. He wants to pretend as if he knows something. If he really knew something, why does he have to post all these papers? When I first started my original channel, I explained how muscles were built, and I didn't even use science. People asked me to prove what I said using proof and studies, so I did. I did do that, and I proved everything. See what I mean? Because it's not hard for me to find the answers. I have experience. I'm not a faker of sophistication like this guy. He's just popping up studies and he's reading things to you. How does he know that they build muscles, these machines? Because a study said something to him? He's misinterpreting. He's not a scientist. He doesn't know how to read these studies, okay? The studies are very complicated. They're talking to other real scientists in that field, and I doubt he's in that field.
Or what have you, any number of things. It can be really cool for those applications. And so I think the Smith machine is awesome for muscle building. But there are certain movements that
Somebody needs to tell him that an exercise certificate has nothing. Just because you got a certificate in exercise, a training certificate to train people to lift weights, doesn't mean you're an expert in science, dude. Get it?
recommending here that I don't necessarily fuck with on the Smith machine. Specifically, in my experience, things like Romanian deadlifts and upright rows can be a little bit awkward on the Smith machine because it can be a relatively heavy load and either use.
Does it, when it comes to muscle damage, does it really matter? You're unadapted. You're gonna get an adaptation. You're either untrained, unfamiliar, or unaccustomed to doing that exercise when you're moving the weight. That's the whole purpose behind muscle damage. Now, I don't know what kind of growth he's getting. He says they're growing his muscles, so I guess they're growing. Why isn't anybody growing in the gym then every time they do these machines? I don't see anybody growing in the machine. Can you show me? Could you please show me these people that are doing these machines and growing? Show me these people growing, doing these machines, dude, please.
Perhaps to make your group more comfortable, but then unracking the weight becomes challenging, and then sometimes it re-racks mid-set, and it's awkward. I don't particularly like it for certain movements if you find that the Smith machine tends to re-rack or unrack itself awkwardly. And so for certain movements, I don't really like it. But on principle, I agree. Smith machine gets a thumbs up.
How much protein should you eat per day to maximize muscle growth? Well, the latest research, analyzing 49 studies, found that you really only need 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 175
Is that a fact? Is that a fact?
pounds or 80 kilos, 130 grams of protein per day will max out your gains, and going beyond that has, quote, no further benefit on gains.
If you want to build muscle at your full potential, 1.5 to 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight is actually ideal. At least.
What? I have no idea what he's talking about. He has no muscle. He's very low body fat, but I don't know what the hell he's doing here, but whatever.
That's what I remember reading as a teenager in Flex magazine back when most people thought that more protein equaled more gains. In reality,
He uses Flex magazine? Wow, man. Did you see the picture of that dude on there? It's a fake bodybuilder.
daily cap where growth will be maxed out is quite a bit smaller, which is a good thing because getting into that range should be pretty easy for you. And this is a key concept to understand about bodybuilding in general, which is that beyond a certain point, there's nothing you can do to force additional gains. Every variable...
Man, that was funny listening to him. Beyond this point, there's nothing you could do to force additional gains. Oh, there's nothing you could do to force additional gains. Well, they reached the myonuclear domain limit. It's beyond where the progenitor could donate any extra nuclei to that domain to support further muscle growth. When it reaches that domain limit, these nuclei, they synthesize protein. I don't know what he's talking about. And that little amount of protein isn't going to build any muscles.
Your program has a ceiling in place over any given time frame.
And I'm going to tell you why the small amount of protein that he's eating is not going to build muscles, because Your muscles are highly anabolic and catabolic at the same time. They're building up and breaking down. So even if that a small amount of protein is not enough to suppress the catabolic hormone, to convert the catabolic hormone to an androgen, so it doesn't have to compete with the myocytic androgen receptor, it's a process and a training to make sure that all of these processes are working together in unison. If one is off, the rest won't work.
Whether it's total calories, protein, training volume, frequency, supplementation, or whatever else, and we're trying to put...
Yeah, protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown to visually see that mass on that myofibrillar, okay? And I'm not talking about, they took a CAT scan because they wanted to see how much hypertrophy they got on a CAT scan, dude. I want to see it visually.
Push things further can actually be counterproductive. So the best thing you can do is hit your daily/weekly targets for each one.
Yeah, you need to be in a positive nitrogen balance. That means being anabolic. Protein makes you anabolic. Positive nitrogen balance, meaning that protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown. So it has nothing to do with 32 grams, 17, or whatever they're talking about.
Patient and let those small efforts slowly add up over time.
That was yet another good take. I respect that take as well.
Yeah.
I think that once you've ticked off the big rocks, namely like volume, calorie intake, sleep, stress, there's a lot of things where overdoing it won't necessarily...
Calorie intake, stress, sleep, this, that. Man, money builds bodies, dude. I don't know what this guy's talking about. Maybe he's poor. Money will build your body because you'll have astronomically money to eat as much as you want. You have to be able to eat as much as you want, whenever you want. And you have to eat all the time to be in an anabolic growth state. You need to shut off the catabolic hormone so that there's a buildup and no breakdown in proteins. In order for muscle to build, it needs to be in an anabolic growth state, which means positive nitrogen balance, which means what? Protein synthesis exceeds its breakdown. It suppresses catabolic hormone, converts the catabolic hormone to an androgen, so it doesn't have to compete with the myocytic androgen receptor, making you anabolic and also giving you more force production because they're not competing with the myocytic androgen receptor. Also, because you're anabolic now, protein synthesis exceeds its breakdown, you're going to widen and bulk up the androgen receptor is going to get bulked up, it's going to get bigger, wider. It's going to get massive, and you're going to get more of them. And that's going to give you even more force production. That's the driver. That will be the driver of hypertrophy in your lifting regime. You need to train to eat. It's a training to stretch your stomach to accommodate more food. Every time you go to the buffet, when you start, I don't know how many plates you can eat a day in food. I can't tell you. At a buffet, eating for 4 hours, maybe I could, start eating 3, 4, 5, then I move up to 5, 6, 7, 8. Sometimes the highest I move up to is 12 plates in a 4-hour seating. Okay? And then later, I'm still eating. In the nighttime, I'm still eating. And in the daytime, I'm eating. When I get up, I'm eating. And then I keep eating. And I'm eating and eating all the time, bro. Because I'm trying to stay in a positive nitrogen balance so that I'm never breaking any proteins down. I'm building muscle all the time, even when I walk around. That's why they say anabolic. Why do you think people inject steroids? They say, well, they're building muscle all the time, all day, all night, even sitting on the sofa. Yeah, you'll be building muscle sitting on the sofa watching TV while you're anabolic because you're not starving. Your protein synthesis exceeds this breakdown.
Necessarily benefit you further. With volume specifically, we don't quite know where that ceiling is yet. Out of 8 studies comparing over 20...
Volume, where that ceiling is? That ceiling is the myonuclear domain size ceiling. Reach a ceiling limit during hypertrophic process beyond where it can donate extra nuclei to that domain to support what? Further muscle growth. What are these nuclei? They synthesize protein. They have to reach a ceiling limit before they can commence growing.
20 sets and under 20 sets per week per muscle. 4 have found more hypertrophy from over 20 sets. But seemingly, even those highest volume...
Hypertrophy from 20 sets? How much hypertrophy what kind of hypertrophy is this? Is it transient? It's inflammatory response. This guy's lying.
Investigations of like 37 average weekly sets or 42 sets per muscle per week. Those have also found more hypertrophy sometimes. So we don't quite know where that's...
Yeah, what they're talking about is when you're doing all these exercise and volume and this and that, you're getting an inflammatory response. That's that muscle's hypertrophy. If I hit you with a hammer, will it not hypertrophy? Man, come on, dude.
really is yet. But for most variables, like protein especially, there is definitely a
Science doesn't say hypertrophy, okay, dude? It says in NCBI, protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown to visually see that what? Mass on the myofibrillar. It didn't say to see that hypertrophy on the myofibrillar. It says to see that mass. That's what it says in science. I don't know what kind of science you use, but I use real science, okay, dude?
top end of how much is protein going to benefit you, past which point.
What do you mean how much is going to benefit you? If you're anabolic and if your body is anabolic when protein synthesis exceeds breakdown, but you're catabolic when it doesn't, then what do you need to do? Protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown. Duh. What are you talking about?
Does additional protein no longer increase muscle?
Do you want to discover how to succeed on?
That is correct, around 1.6 grams.
When is it not going to benefit you? It's going to benefit you all the time. What are you talking about? You're always growing. What is he talking about? You need nutrients. Animal meat is not just protein. It contains nutrients to build muscles. What is this guy talking about? A systematic meta-analysis, meta-regression effect of protein supplementation. Supplements? I'm not taking any supplements. A resistance training induced gains in muscle mass and strength in healthy adults. Okay, what about it? What about it, dude?
Of protein per kilogram per day is correct. Quick caveat that he couldn't possibly provide an.
Okay, so what happens if I eat shitloads of protein, animal protein, all day, all night? What's going to happen? What's going to happen, DrMiloWolf? Am I going to die because I ate all that protein, plus I'm lifting in the gym once a week because I'm trying to get it? Actually, I'm trying to build myofibrillar growth through an adaptation process. That's the type of building I do. I don't know what kind of building you do in your channel. I know. The machine is building the weights. The machines are building these muscles for you. Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought food builds muscles. You know how fat people get big? They're getting big and fat because they're eating an artificial diet, carbohydrates. But in bodybuilding, we're bodybuilders. We're trying to build muscles. We don't need carbohydrates, dude. Unless you want to build sarcoplasmic muscles, load glycogen, energy into the muscle, and then you can also get fat. Now, starch will build you sarcoplasmic muscles, but carbs, when you're eating them, pizza and your weird foods like pasta and all these weird foods this guy talking about, you're gonna get fat. That's why they say we gotta bulk. You bulk on a carbohydrate diet, your artificial drug diet called carbohydrates. But on starches, you actually load glycogen in the muscle. That's called sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Now, as far as myofibrillar growth, it's based on that mass is based on protein synthesis needs to exceed this breakdown. You need to be anabolic and a positive nitrogen balance. So I have no clue what this guy is talking about.
60 seconds short, but I'll provide anyways. If you're older, say above 65 years old,
Yeah, what
if
about
you're
it?
plant-based, if you're currently cutting,
Plant-based, this is more stupidity. Plants are artificial. It's an artificial diet. Why the hell would you eat plants? You're a carnivore. You're a Homo sapien. Homo sapiens eat meat and fat. Okay, dude? I don't know what you're talking about. All right? You're not going to build any muscle eating plants.
you may benefit from a bit more protein, up to around 2 grams.
You may benefit from some protein? What is he talking about?
Of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. Conversely, if you're
What planet is this guy on? Jesus Christ.
higher in body fat, say above 25% as a man or 35% as a woman, you may need a bit less protein than the 1.6 gram rule would predict for you. That's because the rule is based on body weight, not on fat-free mass. So if you're higher in body fat, it will overestimate how much protein you need.
If you're a naturally thin guy that wants
What? That's the stupidest stuff I've ever heard. That is ridiculous.
to put on size and you're even asking this question, you're seriously in the wrong frame of mind and it legitimately is going to kill your gains. Is a calorie surplus necessary to build muscle? Dude,
Is a calorie surplus necessary to build muscle? No, protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown to build those muscles, to see that muscle myofibrillar. What are these people talking about, dude? I'm on planet hell. Fitness hell.
if you weigh 150 pounds right now and you want to get to 180 pounds, how is that going to happen without a calorie surplus? How are you
Oh my God. Calorie surplus. Are you talking about artificial diet? You want to just put on weight, but you don't want to build muscles? Oh man, you want to load energy in your fat cells and in your muscle cells. Oh, great. Okay.
Going to add 30 pounds of mass to your body, or even 10 or even 5 pounds.
If you want to add 30 pounds of muscle mass, then protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown to see that mass on that myofibrillar. And science tells you that because I can prove it in my videos. Let me see. Here we are. That's NCBI, bro. See this? If muscle is, see this is NCBI, nutrition descriptor, whatever. If muscle is going to gain mass, protein synthesis must exceed protein breakdown. Well, it may be common to view resistance training as a powerful stimulus for protein synthesis. It is also important to recognize that it is a signal for what? Protein breakdown. So when you're lifting weights, you're breaking down more proteins. You're actually speeding up the breaking down rate when you lift weights in the gym, especially if you're adapted. I don't know how you people build your muscles. I build muscles in an adaptation. I never try to build muscles adapted, but okay. I'm not saying they can't mass up adapted, providing protein synthesis exceeds breakdown. Then that mass on that myofibrillar will grow, regardless, even if you're adapted in the gym. But of course, it'll hit a ceiling limit during hypertrophic process. We call that MND size limit, bro. Get it? You need additional nuclei. So now you need to shoot for an adaptation to get a donation of these nuclei so they can support further muscle growth. Now, will you get it because it reached that ceiling limit? I don't know. It depends what you're doing there. Lifting, doing something, maybe it'll give at some point, and then you'll feel this. You'll get this damage in the muscle fiber, and the progenitor will wake up and donate its nuclei to that domain to support further muscle growth, because you're anabolic now. If protein synthesis exceeds breakdown, you're anabolic. There isn't any catabolic hormone interfering in the growth process. So yeah, I don't know, but whatever. Okay.
Without consuming more energy than you expect. If you're truly serious...
Energy. Look at all that fake diet he was eating there. This guy is like the fakest lifter on the internet. He's another fake influencer. I don't believe anything he's doing. This guy, you know who's also faked it like him? That other guy that has that channel. I forget what his name is. He's another faker like him anyways, whatever. He lives in China or something.
About building muscle, and you're even asking this question, whether it's because you're afraid to lose your abs, or maybe you don't have a big appetite, or...
He's a liar. He's a fake. I believe he's a fake natty too.
Whatever, then you probably need to pick up one of these, or you're just going to end up spinning your wheels in the long run. And make sure to check the pinned comment for a few more important points on this. Subscribe.
He's lying to all you people, man.
Subscribe for more no BS fitness tips.
Yeah, another W. I think this is pretty good advice. Ultimately, it's important to consider context, and you can absolutely make gains in muscle size at maintenance or even at a deficit. But if you're currently, as a man...
Did you just see what he showed you there? Pizza and everything, a fake diet. Look at this. Look what he just showed you there. It was a fake diet, bro.
At maintenance or even...
Look at this. Bulking science experience. What? That stuff doesn't build muscles. My God. A fake artificial diet, pizza, ice cream, hamburgers, whatever he's eating there, this fake diet, does not build muscles, bro. They do not build muscles. They make you fat. That's what they do.
A deficit. But if you're currently, as a man, 8 to 12% body fat, and you've been lifting for a year, and you really want to gain muscle, you're going to need to bulk. Your body at some point...
Oh my God, he's telling you to destroy your health by eating an artificial diet. You need to bulk and destroy your health and lift weights in the gym. It's gonna destroy your cells. You're gonna get DNA damage. Man, this is crazy. This is insane. You're gonna be damaged. You're gonna accelerate aging, a whole bunch of stuff, bro. Don't do that. Eat your natural carnivore diet, okay? Protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown to see that mass on that myofibrillar. Do not eat any of these poisonous foods. They will destroy your DNA, dude. It'll destroy you in the end.
Probably won't be able to recomp meaningfully anymore. And around 8 to 12% is the lowest I would ever go if you wanted to recomp. At that point, if you wanted to gain muscle,
Recomp 8%, whatever. This guy's nuts. Don't ever... 8% is quite low in body fat. It's going to cause you complications in health.
Actually put on appreciable muscle, you would need to gain weight. So that is a W. But that's not to say you can't recomp if you're a little bit heavier or a bit higher in body fat. You can absolutely recomp. You can gain muscle. You can put on 5-10 pounds of muscle easily.
So yeah, if you want to build bigger shoulders, then doing lateral raises like this definitely will work.
No, they won't. They won't build muscles. Doing lateral raises are not going to build your muscles. Protein synthesis, when it exceeds breakdown, it will build those muscles. You'll see that mass on that myofibrillar. Now, I don't know, maybe he's doing sarcoplasmic here because he likes to eat some fake diet stuff, faking his muscles. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing to keep this low body fat. I don't know what kind of drug he's taking or supplement or creatine or whatever it is he's doing there artificially. And then it's sarcoplasmic because the fluid, the retention, and whatever. I don't believe any of his muscles they're not real.
You might have seen this variation show up in your feet at some point, but
no lifting can build a muscle. Food does. I'm not saying that this is a stimulus. Now, if you're doing sarcoplasmic training, you're pumping glycogen into the muscle, lifting that weight. Now, if you're lifting the weight, trying to get an adaptation, that is muscle damage. Now, if you're lifting the weight and you are adapted, but you're not eating an artificial diet, and you're eating, your natural diet, carnivore diet, protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown, you will see mass build up on the myofibrillar. Again, it'll reach an MND size limit where it's beyond where the progenitor can donate any more extranuclei to that domain to support further muscle growth. So what do you need? You need these nuclei. What do? Synthesize protein to support further muscle growth. Get it? You understand what I'm trying to explain to you? You can push it. You can push that domain, providing you're in an anabolic growth state. You're in positive nitrogen balance. Yeah. When protein synthesis exceeds its breakdown, it will be forced to move that domain.
there is one important tweak I'd recommend if you really want to maximize the tension on the side delt with this movement and not be limited by the need to stabilize the bar and prevent it from tilting back and forth, and that's to just use a dumbbell.
These people are such liars. I know they're lying because they don't mention any of the things that I talk about, which can be found in science. Myonuclear domain size limit, PubMed. Myocytic androgen receptor controls strength, but not the mass of limb muscles, PubMed. The protein synthesis one I just showed you, NCBI. Protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown to see that mass of the myofibrillar. Like just all of these things, they pop up. There's a whole bunch of this stuff. They'll tell you stuff about sarcoplasmic hypertrophy and trained muscles. 6 weeks of training, PubMed. Trained people get sarcoplasmic. What else is there? I don't know. There's a whole bunch of studies. I have them all in my channel. There's a bunch of stuff, okay? I'm not going to go into it all right now.
I agree with everyone here. I agree that you could do lateral raises with a barbell and you would still grow your side delts. Ultimately, it's not...
Yeah, if you're eating an artificial diet, they'll grow muscles. A carbohydrate diet, a starchy carbohydrate diet will make them grow. Sarcoplasmic. That's what he's talking about. But they'll also grow if they're getting an inflammatory response. Let's say you're not eating enough carbs or whatever, and you're just lifting. They will grow. And then they'll shrink when you go home. Gravitational loading and unloading, I call it. A gravitational loading, unloading. Get it? They're expanding and shrinking. It's called hypertrophy. Why do you think they call it hypertrophy? Hypering. It's hypering and atrophying. You get it, dude? Me, I'm more of a hyperplasia kind of guy. I wanna get more muscle cells so that I don't keep hypering and hypering and atrophying. Get it, dude? If you get more muscle cells, then they're not going to hyper and atrophy.
all that
Maybe the mass on there will eventually. I don't know. If you don't eat, if you don't keep a net positive balance.
different. But it is just slightly worse for no good reason. That is unless your gym is so busy that there's no dumbbells left, but you somehow have access to a barbell, and then this makes sense. But yeah, almost always a dumbbell is going to be just slightly better. So just use dumbbells.
Here's the best body fat percentage every man should have. That body fat percentage is 12%. 12% is the perfect body fat percentage because you're lean enough to...
Is it? I don't know. I guess 12. I would say maybe 12, 10%. We'll go under 10%, that's for sure. 12 sounds like a good number. Yeah, I would say that.
Look good, but not too lean to where you look like a skeleton or it's just unsustainable. Your libido and appetite are stable and you just feel amazing. Without effort, you could be at 12% year round. In fact, if I could stay one body fat percentage the rest of my life, it would be 12%.
I'm going to have to agree with that dude. He's pretty smart, whatever. But he's probably fake too.
No one best body fat percentage for every person because it depends on your goals and preferences and what feels best for you. You know, there's technically nothing wrong with being in the mid to slightly higher teens as long as you're still staying within the healthy range. But for guys who are training with aesthetics as a primary goal, who want to look both muscular and impressively lean, and who aren't genetic outliers who can sit at sub 10% body fat without side effects, then yeah, I would say around 12% give or take is going to be the sweet spot in most cases. It's low enough to look great with your shirt off, but also high enough to still look good in clothes. Your appetite, energy, and libido will all be kept in check, and it's a level you can realistically...
Okay, this sounds like it's all cosmetic. That's not the reason why I build muscles. If you're building muscles for cosmetic purposes, then yeah, sarcoplasmic is really nice and cool for you. Sarcoplasmic it's not based on contractile proteins. It's just fluid in the muscle, giving you these phony muscles. And inflammatory response, phony again too as well, and all these other things, man, blood flow restriction, whatever else is there. All these phony things are great for cosmetic purposes. I don't build muscles for cosmetic purposes. I build them so that I can keep and sustain my muscle as I get older, and reverse aging, senescent cells, myogenic decline, expand the satellite cell pool for further regenerative purposes in the future, and a bunch of things. I don't do bodybuilding because I just want to look good and pumped with phony muscles. See what I mean? I'm trying to create more myofibrillars, and I'm trying to increase the satellite cell pool, future regeneration. I'm trying to rid myself of senescent cells at the same time, and I'm trying to wear off myogenic decline and reverse aging, because that's what it does if you get an adaptation. Now, I'm not a lifting slave or a gym slave, so I don't go to the gyms often. I go very infrequently. I go periodically to gyms, very periodically, and it's very specific what I do in my training. So their training is cosmetic. I see that now.
Maintain year-round while still having a good amount of dietary freedom and not having to obsess over every calorie or revolve your whole life around your...
Yeah, see that? These guys are not serious. If you're a serious lifter and you're out to really get, like naturally super big and super strong, then you're going to move for adaptations. You're going to eat in an anabolic growth state and a positive nitrogen balance, anabolic growth state. You're going to do very specific things as a lifter. But this stuff that these guys do is all cosmetic now. I realized that.
Fitness plan.
Yeah, another decent take. I think both people were correct here. I definitely think there's more individual variation around the optimal body fat percentage than both of them gave credit for it. People just will not be able to maintain 12% body fat without having an insane amount of dietary restriction, social restriction, and just...
Not necessarily. If they're an ectomorph, they're already born skinny. They're skinny. They always complain they're hard gainers and stuff like that. So they're going to be very low body fat. So I don't know what he's talking about. There are three types of bodies. There are three different types of bodies, aren't there? There's mesomorph, endomorph, and ectomorph, right?
Hunger and metabolic adaptations, quote unquote. But I think for a lot of men, depending on their circumstances, around 12 to 15% body fat can be sustainable. Equally,
yeah, how's that sustainable for those mesomorphs and endomorphs, dude? How is that sustainable for them, 12% body fat, when meanwhile, you get the mesomorphs, their body fat is probably, 30% body fat, and then you get these endomorphs that are like 50, 60, 70% body fat. So what exactly are you talking about? See what I mean? Now, ectomorphs, they're usually at what? They could be 5% body fat. Yeah, some as low as 4%. Very low, if anything.
also appreciate he didn't fearmonger around 15 to 20% body fat as a male as being unhealthy, because the actual evidence we have around body fat percentage and...
Okay, so all these young kids with low body fat, these ectomorphs, are they unhealthy because they're at 4 or 5% body fat? Are they unhealthy because they're an ectomorph at 4 or 5% body fat? Are they unhealthy, dude? What are you talking about?
Relates to your health, suggests that 15 to 20% body fat as a man is perfectly healthy. In fact, it's some of the healthiest body...
15, 20%, 15, whatever, 20% as a man. What type? What body type? I don't know. Are you talking about that I fattened myself up even though I'm an ectomorph at 4% body fat, so I should be 15, 20%? What is this guy talking about, man? Give me a break.
Body fat percentages you could be at. If you want to look lean, it's not the best body fat percentage, but that is not the question. And I also appreciate that he mentioned that at 12%.
How are you going to get fat if you're eating your natural diet, which is a high nutrient, protein, animal-based fat diet? How are you going to get fat? How are you going to get fat? I know. He wants you to eat an artificial diet, artificial plants, artificial diet, or, drug diet called carbohydrates, an artificial drug-induced diet called carbohydrates. Man, this guy's really too much.
And you look very good with your shirt off, pretty lean, vascularity, abs.
See, what did I tell you? It's for cosmetic purposes. These guys are really not serious about building muscle and strength. They're really into just cosmetic looks. It's just cosmetic, fake,
etc. But you will also look okay in clothing. Because if you've ever competed in bodybuilding, you will have noticed that in clothing, you look malnourished. And it's not necessarily a good look.
How do I get that?
You look malnourished because you're starving yourself, which is stupid. I don't know what these people are trying to pull off.
Capped shoulder look as a natural. I mean, I don't want to be a downer here, but the reality is that you pretty much can't. Okay, what you have to keep in mind is that the delts are a muscle with really high levels of androgen receptors, and that's why some guys are able to achieve that round look to their shoulders, because they're taking a bunch of gear. I mean, this is actually...
What? He's using excuses, but okay. There are ways, I just told you, serious lifter, I'm talking about in the normal world realm, without drugs, making fake muscles with drugs and all that. Again, this guy's all cosmetic again.
the biggest telltale sign for steroid use there is. Just take...
No, it's not. Your muscles can hold 50, 60, 70 pounds, 80 pounds. A lot of glycogen can be retained in science. It tells you your muscles can hold a lot of sarcoplasmic hypertrophy in the muscles in the form of glycogen, dude. So you are mistaking those muscles, that growth or hypertrophy, for being muscle growth when it's artificial. It's non-contractile.
One look at the delts and it's pretty much a dead giveaway. So if you're going to stay natty, I would honestly just forget about it. Okay, no amount of...
How can it be a dead giveaway, man? He has to tell you what he's doing something. You don't know what he's doing. Ask him.
Compound presses and pulls and isolation work over a prolonged period is going to make much of a difference. Either hop on cycle or just accept the fact that your shoulders will probably always be mediocre at best.
Okay, whatever.
And if you actually believed any of that, make sure to give the pinned comment here a quick read through.
Sean, I'm not going to read your pinned comments anymore. I've had enough. I don't like to read. But yeah, the video is spot on. Capped shoulders mean something. People view capped, like what does capped even mean? At what point do they become capped?
I have no clue, dude. I don't know.
You know, just train your delts and do your best to grow muscle. And you'll find out whether or not you can achieve it.
What are you training to do? What are you training the muscles to do? Muscles that are trained, they're trained specifically to do something. I have a question for you, Dr. Wolf. Why, when anything that you do the very first time that you're unaccustomed to doing, your muscles get damaged, but then you never get that damage feeling again with a second repeated bout? When you go back and you try doing it again, how come you're not getting damaged anymore? See what I mean? And it lasts for a couple of days. There's soreness, pain, and all. Sorry, I got cut off there.
Naturally.
So can you tell me, doctor, why is that? Please explain that to me.
I couldn't tell you. No one else could tell you. But I think most people's definition of capped shoulders is achievable naturally. A big thing with deltoids
is achievable naturally. Everything is achievable naturally. But you can also achieve things artificially. You can take steroids and achieve it artificially, but it's artificial. It wasn't achieved naturally in the natural world. See, here's the thing. How do you achieve sarcoplasmic artificial muscles? By eating what? An artificial diet. What would that artificial diet be? Carbohydrates, a drug-induced carbohydrate diet. Carbohydrates are drugs. They're made from plants. Plants are artificial. It's an artificial diet. So you're eating an artificial diet, creating what? Artificial muscles called what? Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy muscles. See? Really simple. There's myofibrillar and sarcoplasmic. Now, how do you create natural muscles, myofibrillar growth, naturally? It's easy. Eat a natural diet. It's called what? Meat. Animals. Eat meat, protein. Eat that. Exceeds that breakdown, you'll build those muscles when protein exceeds that breakdown. when nitrogen is positive. Get it? You'll be in anabolic growth state and you'll build natural muscles. See how easy that is? Yeah, dude.
Looking big though is just getting lean enough. Like if I get lean.
Now, if you do something else artificial, you can also create them artificially by doing what? Injecting steroids. Plant DNA. You can inject plant DNA in your body. And you can temporarily create this cosmetic look as well. It's a cosmetic look. Now, I'm not saying hormones will not increase performance, because that's really their job, is to increase performance. Yeah, they're hormones. They're binding with the androgen receptor.
Enough, my rear delts will pop out from the side triceps and look nice.
Yeah, but if you're in a positive nitrogen balance, you're already you're anabolic, dude. Get it? You're not competing with the catabolic hormone anymore. Naturally, in the natural world. See?
I'm fat, they don't look great. So basically, just lift. Gain muscle, eat enough protein, sleep, get lean enough, and that is your best chance at ever getting cap delts, short of taking.
And if you do what he just said, then you'll always look ordinary. You never really put work into it.
Steroids.
If your main motivation for lifting is aesthetics, if it's for vanity purposes because you just want your physique to look a certain way.
Yeah, vanity. That's what these guys are. All these guys are lifting for cosmetic purposes only.
Yeah, that's fine. You can train for whatever reason.
These are lifting slaves. These are lifting slaves. See, in getting an adaptation, lifting to build myofibrillar growth, and I'm not just talking about the mass. I'm talking about building myofibrillars. It isn't based on being a gym lifting slave. And it happens quite quickly, and it happens in a particular deficit, you being in a positive nitrogen balance to build those myofibrillars. And you need to shoot for an adaptation. So you need to be in a positive nitrogen balance, and you need to shoot for an adaptation. Untrained, unaccustomed, and unfamiliar forms. Get an adaptation, okay? And then you need to allow those muscles to repair and remodel, because blood levels are elevated, protein synthesis is extended for that entire week. So until those muscles are fully repaired and remodeled, they will not get damaged again with a repeated bout. They'll be protected. Sometimes you may not be completely repaired and remodeled, and then you come back on the 7th day, again, you come back the following week, and then you try to repeat the same thing that you did, and you go, wait a second, I'm not getting this pain or soreness, like I did before my previous bout when I lifted, because they were not completely repaired and remodeled. That's why they're protected. They're in type 1, dude. Get it, dude? Get it? Get it?
You want. And if someone tries to tell you otherwise, just hit a juicy front lat spread while staring directly into their eyes until they get uncomfortable and walk away. I mean, it's definitely possible to go down an unhealthy path with that if you start pushing for extreme.
What is this, synthol? This is gross, man. People injecting fake muscles, injecting oil in their muscles to create fake muscles, putting glycogen in their muscles to create fake muscles, blood flow restriction, inflammatory response, lactic acid buildup. Man, these people are really crazy. Cosmetic look.
Degrees of muscularity and leanness. But most people out there would be lying if they said that having bigger biceps and visible abs wasn't their initial motivation to go to the gym. Now, maybe in the long term it is healthier to have other reasons for training beyond just your appearance alone.
I'm going to explain to you right now, none of that is healthy. If you're eating an artificial diet and lifting in the gym, you're just accelerated aging, you're accelerating glycation, a whole bunch of stuff. You're going to run into a lot of health problems down the line. Eating an artificial diet and trying to build these artificial muscles in the gym, bro. Get it? Yeah, man, all of you.
But even if that is your primary focus right now, at the end of the day, you're still working on a consistent basis. You're going to be physically stronger than the vast majority of the population. You're likely within a healthy body fat range. Hopefully you've got some cardio in there, and you're probably following a decently healthy diet as well. And so if wanting to look good at the beach leads you to all those other things anyway, then it's just a win all around as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, another good take. What is going on? I was expecting to see worse takes, and yet all I'm getting here are good takes. Yeah, I agree. Whatever you want to train for, you can train for. Oh, you don't care about size, you just want to get strong? Train for that. You just care about size, you don't care about getting strong? Train for size. I do think at some point reflecting as a lifter and being like, alright, why am I still doing this is good. Because eventually it's like, Okay, you've grown some muscle, you've gotten stronger, you've staved off the risk for sarcopenia and low bone density and osteoporosis and what have you. Are you really getting much healthier by lifting 6 times a week versus twice a week? Probably not. And it's worth reflecting and noticing that, oh, okay, I'm not getting healthier here. That's worth keeping in mind. But I can't just keep lifting because I enjoy lifting. Or maybe because you enjoy getting bigger, and that's like a pursuit in its own right. It feeds your soul. Not everyone exercises for the same reasons, and that's fine.
Not everybody exercises for the same reason. I told you, training volume. Training volume is associated with trained people, associated with high volume, associated with sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Specifically, if you're eating an artificial diet, that's what it is. It's funny, these people are trying to build these phony muscles eating their slave diet. So they're transferring the slave diet that was given to them, that slaved them to their jobs so they can, work them to death, giving them this fake drug-induced diet called carbohydrates so they could work them to the bone. And they're using it now in the gym to create these phony muscles. This is insane.
And yet again, I refuse to read the comment. I think his take is good here. I guess it depends on what you mean by enough. Because enough to see some growth, agreed. Even with just 5 to 10 sets a week per muscle for most lifters, you will likely see some muscle growth. However, if by enough...
Yeah. What type of muscle growth are you going to see there? Sarcoplasmic or myofibular, dude? He doesn't tell you. There's no explanation into anything that he's talking about. He doesn't explain to you if this guy's lifting for cosmetic purposes. Are they trying to get muscle damage? Are they trying to create sarcoplasmic muscles, myofibular growth? He doesn't explain anything to you. You want to know why? Because he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know that muscles have a myonuclear domain size limit. He doesn't know that it's beyond where the progenitor could donate any extra nuclei to that domain to support further muscle growth. He doesn't even know what satellite cells do. He doesn't know what myonuclei do. They synthesize protein to support further muscle growth. He doesn't know anything, bro, in bodybuilding. He hasn't mentioned any of these things, any of them.
You mean
what he's telling you is if you lift these machines according to these studies, the machines are going to build you muscles if you lift them.
Maximizing your growth? That is very unlikely. Most people will see their maximum growth at closer to 10 to 20, or likely even more than 20 sets per week per muscle. And before you come to me...
But on what? On an artificial diet? They'll see sarcoplasmic growth doing that? Or myofibular growth, where protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown to see that mass on the myofibular? Which one, dude? Get it? Which one, man? Or are you talking about something transient, the pump? Or are you talking about inflammatory response? Inflamed muscles?
In the comments, I have done that volume training almost always to failure. People always say, oh, it's impossible.
He's done it to failure. Endurance people do things to failure. They run to the end to hit the wall. I don't know what he's talking about, man. Bodybuilding has nothing to do with man. You guys are all endurance lifters. Lifting is endurance, but he's taking it to a new level of endurance. And you're eating an artificial diet. I know you are. Your carbohydrate diet, and so you're either getting fat through carbohydrates, or you're eating a lot of starch. You're building these sarcoplasmic muscles. Okay.
To recover from that mini set.
Rice is filled with arsenic. And these other starches are filled with oxalates, and the artificial plant diet is filled with oxalates. And so now you're lifting these weights in the gym. You want your muscles to grow, the muscle cells to grow on what? Arsenic, cyanide, and whatever else you're eating there, dude. And oxalates? Give me a break, man. All these toxins and everything. What do you think they're doing to you exactly? Plus, you're increasing ROS, reaction oxygen species. What the man? You're aging yourself, dude. You're wasting your time.
Sounds like a you problem.
The dreamer bulk, the idea that you're going to just get huge and stay lean, short of an unbelievable drug cocktail, which would probably kill you anyway, and or unreal genetics, it's really just...
Dr. Isertel is another gym slave, another lifting gym, a steroid slave.
it's nothing that pans out. Once you are fat, you gotta diet all that fat off. And look, if you gain like 40 pounds in a few months and 7.5 of that, that's really good, was muscle, you have to diet off 33.5 pounds of fat? Sorry, 32.5, good God, math. But it's just like, holy shit, like that's 30 pounds of fat you have to diet off.
I'm sorry, but this is just bullshit. I mean, I respect Dr. Mike, but
You shouldn't be getting fat to begin with. If you go on your natural diet, all that fat, so-called fat from the fake carbohydrate, your fake artificial carbohydrate drug-induced diet will go away if you go back and eating your natural diet. High fat, high animal fat and protein, okay?
so many people keep repeating this idea that aggressive bulks are a waste of time when it's just not true. Surpluses of a
What? Aggressive bulks? That's not true. They're not. What? Aggressive bulk, getting fat? You're destroying your health. What are you talking about? Getting fat doesn't build mass on the myofibrillar. Protein does, dude. What is this guy talking about, dude?
1,000 or more calories can be a really good way to fully maximize muscle growth and
Calories do not build muscles. Nutrients do. Protein and nutrients in that protein build muscles. Calories do not build muscles. It does not say in NCBI that calories build muscles. It says when protein synthesis exceeds breakdown, that's when you see mass on the myofibrillar. And it also tells you that nitrogen balance to be positive is what makes you anabolic. Protein. That's what makes you anabolic. Okay?
strength gains. And as long as your training is on point, you can still maintain a lean and aesthetic look in the process.
This guy looks sick. Look at him, man. Jesus, holy mackerel. This guy looks like, bro, that is terrible. Like he looks like a sick person, a patient in the hospital. This is gross. Look what he's done to himself. Look at his face, his body. Wow, that's really damage, DNA damage.
You just have to make sure that you, holy I was fat.
No kidding. Holy, he was fat. Yeah, dude. Fat doesn't build muscles. I guess he figured that out eventually with time, right? Getting fat doesn't build muscles. Eating an artificial diet, trying to get fat. Yeah, that's all you got was fat. You didn't build any muscles bulking.
Okay, maybe not.
You just figured that out now?
That is the peak male form, in case you didn't know. In clothing, absolute tank, fridge, that's what I'm aiming for.
What are you talking about? That was disgusting, man. He looks ugly. He looks terrible eating plants. They make you ugly.
Thank you for being a friend, and thank you for noticing that I in fact lost like 30 pounds of fat. I appreciate it. On a serious note, it seems like Sean does a lot of comedy, which is cool, I guess, but his
You look very average, dude, for an ectomorph. He looks very average.
points are on point, for lack of a better vocabulary. Yeah, a calorie surplus of much more than about 300 is probably not doing you any good. If your aim is to
Again, calories do not build muscles. Protein, nutrients and protein does. Animal protein.
make somewhat lean gains. At around like a 300 calorie surplus, I couldn't tell you for sure that bulking faster than that is going to increase your hypertrophy very much, if at all.
Yeah, if you eat calories, you're going to increase your hypertrophy, bulking. It's going to increase the sarcoplasm in the muscle, and you're going to get these beautiful, phony, fake muscles, yes.
And it's definitely increasing your fat gains. So take that as you will. I generally recommend gaining
Yeah, and that's going to be even harder to get off that fat, bro, yeah.
about 0.5% to 1% of body weight per month, which for most people is around 1 to 300 calories as a surplus.
Who are you?
So this exercise has been blowing up
What is this?
all over TikTok lately. This video here has over 5 million views, and a bunch of people tagged me in it, assuming I'd say it's a waste of time. However, Okay, yeah, it's pretty much a waste of time.
It is.
I mean, it's better than a plate press because at least you can load it properly, and it's better than a hex press because it's more stable, but these super narrow grip variations are just going to put more emphasis on the triceps and provide a weaker stimulus to the chest compared to standard pressing motions. The only reason you can feel your chest so strongly here is because you're actively squeezing inward the whole time, but you can recreate that same sensation without using any weight at all. It's not because the pecs are being loaded more effectively. So unless you're training specifically for performance in order to compete in the Smith Machine V-Bar Press Olympics, I'd probably recommend skipping this one.
Short muscle lengths can get the knife. That's all I got to say. That was me reacting to Sean Nalewanyj's takes. Apologies for the butchering yet again. Honestly, man, very good takes. I was expecting worse, and I kind of loved it. Fuck it, 8 or 9 out of 10. Very solid. I really enjoyed these takes. Obviously, they weren't about the deepest, most meticulous scientific findings ever. Along
My God.
them were just
This was painful to watch, man. Really painful.
average lifter wants to know this information. Can you provide this information? And he provided that information, which I respect, because he's providing good information to a ton of lifters out there. Resident
He provided absolutely the worst information you can imagine because it was non-explanatory.
pencil next reaction is over.
He tried to convince you that bulking, getting fat is going to build muscle. What? That's getting fat is going to get over the myonuclear domain size limit. No, that's not what gets you over myonuclear domain size limit. An adaptation will get you over an adaptation and protein synthesis being in positive nitrogen balance and getting a donation of these nuclei in an adaptation will get you over MND size limit. Yeah, not I've got to get fat and that's going to push MND size limit. Not.
If you enjoyed the video, leave a comment letting me know.
I didn't enjoy it, man. It was just watching these videos. They're painful, bro. I just do them for my channel to try to educate people on my channel. It's just for content purposes. But it's painful for me to watch this because I already know what these people are doing. It's all baloney. I'll see you in the next one, friends. Touch, think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. There you go, man. I'll see you in the next one. Really, this is just like, to me, this is painful to watch. See you later.